Today we're taking a look at these college basketball matches, which are happening on Thursday, February 16, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and make sure to watch it till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Also check out Patreon if you want to access our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. You will find the link in description and comment section below. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comment section below. Wisconsin Green Bay vs Robert Morris. When these two last played on January 21st, Robert Morris was -9 favorites on the road and still smoked the spread by 25 points. The Colonials held Green Bay to just 38 points on 21.6% shooting overall. The Phoenix hit just 11 field goals in that game, one of the worst shooting games by any team this season. Robert Morris shot a clean 50% in that game and out-rebounded the hosts 42-23. Green Bay has shown zero reason as to why those numbers might change some 7 games later. The Phoenix have lost 5 of the 6 games in between, with the losses coming by an average margin of 16.2 points per game. Robert Morris is 4-1 ATS in their last 5 games versus a team with a losing record. Green Bay is 1-5 ATS in their last 6 versus a team with a losing record. The Phoenix are somehow shooting worse over their last 5 games than their season average, and though Robert Morris is also shooting worse than their season average of late, they are still that much better than Green Bay, or is that Green Bay is really that bad? Take the Colonials -15.5 points. Then they first played this season, the two teams combined to score just 110 points, thanks in large part to the 38 total points put up by Green Bay. That game obviously went way under the 134.5 total put on it, and would even be way under the total on this game as well. There could be a reason to consider Green Bay getting this many points if you look over their last few games, which included a win over Milwaukee and a loss by just 5 to Detroit Mercy. However, those teams do not nearly have the defense that the Colonials have, and in fact Detroit Mercy is one of 2 teams in the conference allowing more points than Green Bay. The Phoenix ranked 292nd on the Ken Palm Tempo ratings, and Robert Morris ranks 231st, so neither of these teams are going to be burning the nets down. The under is 4-1 in the Colonials' last 5 games and 10-4 in their last 14 games at home versus teams with a record under .400. Per Covers.com, take the under 128.5 points. Colorado vs Arizona State. In the earlier game this season against ASU, Colorado squandered a 15-point halftime lead in the Buffalo's 60-59 loss. The Sun Devils held Simpson to 5 for 16 shooting. ASU is just 4-8-1 against the spread at home, but Colorado is 1-7 ATS on the road. Neither team has good recent stats. ASU is 0-4 against the spread in its last 4 games following a straight-up win. Colorado is 0-5 ATS in its last 5 games following a straight-up loss, and 1-7-1 ATS in its last 9 games overall. ASU is much higher on the urgency meter this game. The Sun Devils finished their regular season schedule against the 4 teams ahead of them in the standings, with Utah at home and road games against Arizona, UCLA and USC, so this is really a must game if the Sun Devils want to keep their realistic NCAA hopes alive. Take Arizona State -2.5 points. Both teams do well in transition, which means there should be easy points. ASU averages 12.88 fast break points, which entering Wednesday was 34th, while Colorado averages 10.69, which was 107th. The Buffaloes average 69.7 possessions per 40 minutes according to KenPom.com, which was 60th entering Wednesday. ASU averages 68.5 possessions per 40, which was 121st. The over is 9-0 in ASU's last 9 games following a straight-up win. Take over 136 points. UTSA vs Rice. The league records in this game are misleading and forcing the spread up over 10-12.5. UTSA has covered some of these larger spreads recently. They covered against Western Kentucky getting 12.5 and against North Texas when getting 19. They only lost to North Texas by 4 and easily covered the big number. Conversely, Rice has not been winning by 12 or more in any games recently. Rice has not won by 12 since an early December matchup with NW State. Rice has not shown the ability to win by double digits against Division I schools. Rice has not been playing well lately, they have lost 4 out of 5. This bet is more fading Rice than backing UTSA, but either way we will take the points in this matchup. Our team pick is UTSA plus 12.5 points. The total was set at 153 in their first matchup, and the teams went way over, combining for 169 points in the 88-81 Rice win. Rice plays with a fast tempo, they are ranked 50th out of 363 teams in pace of play, which makes sense for a team built around 2 scoring guards. UTSA's defense is ranked 333rd, which means Rice should have no problem scoring well above their average. UTSA does not play slow either, they rank in the top half of the nation in tempo, sitting at 136th. The trends point to over as well. Rice has gone over in their last 4 games, and UTSA has gone over in their past 3. Follow the stats and the trends here. Take the over. UCF versus Memphis. The best 2 college players in this game are wearing Memphis jerseys, and that will make a difference in this one. UCF's Taylor Hendricks may have a future in the NBA, but I trust Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams to deliver more in this game. Memphis has more to play for here, they are still hoping for an at-large bid if they do not win their conference tournament, and cannot afford a loss here. Davis has been on fire lately, and will be able to score against the guards on UCF. Memphis covered spreads of 6 or more in their last 2 games when they beat and covered against Temple and USF. UCF has only covered 2 of their last 7 games. The 1-2 punch of Davis and Williams will be too much for UCF to handle on the road. Take Memphis to win and cover at home. The playing styles in this game are direct opposites. Memphis plays fast, they get up and down the floor. Davis and Williams take the first shot they like, this leads to more possessions, which is why Memphis is ranked 15th in the nation in tempo. Memphis has hit the over in 4 of their last 5 games. UCF typically plays a much slower game, but they will get sped up by this Memphis attack. UCF has also hit the over in their last 2 games. Expect Memphis to be able to control the tempo of this game and create enough extra possessions to lead this one to go over the total. Take the over 143.5 points. UL Monroe versus Louisiana. I've got to side with the far better team here that I have a tough time seeing losing 3 in a row or even threatening 2. Offensively, this team is just too efficient for Monroe to have a legitimate shot at keeping up with their own slumping offense. The Cajuns aren't going to shoot 62% from the floor again like they did in that first meeting, but the balance they had that day with 5 guys in double figures should be able to easily carry over to this return match at home. Monroe just doesn't have the scoring depth to match, as they put up a sub-60 point total like they have in half of their last 6 games, and they'll have likely been run out of the gym quite early. Considering Louisiana's not particularly pleased with themselves after these 2 straight losses, we could easily see the Ragin' Cajuns take out those frustrations early and often on this inferior Monroe squad. It's the fact that Louisiana is coming off those 2 straight losses that I feel confident enough in eliminating many of those scenarios where the Ragin' Cajuns come out flat or sleepwalk to a tight win. That means that a backdoor cover late is really the far bigger concern, and when that's the case and there are plenty of numbers pointing to the home side as well, it's time to confirm the bet. Our team pick is Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns minus 12 points. Series history, 6-1 OU last 7, says to look over in this game, and with both sides not having great numbers in most defensive categories, it's hard to make a strong convincing argument against going over this total. But I'm not sure you can trust this Warhawks offense to pull their weight in that category right now, and with the potential for a route higher here than your average game, sitting on the ball with the benches cleared late is always a possibility, and that can be killer for an over ticket. With so many obvious numbers pointing to an over result like I touched on earlier, I can't help but think this number is already going to be slightly shaded that way, knowing there is likely to be plenty of action from the market on the over regardless. So it's the contrarian approach for me here, as waiting until closer to tip-off might bring a better number, but I'll take a piece of the under now, as Monroe's offense is going to have to prove it to me right now. A Louisiana route was part of the thought process for the side play, and if that's the end result, then I'll gladly take my chances that we see plenty of sitting on the ball late to help this under selection. Our total pick is under 139.5 points. Southern Miss versus South Alabama. Not hard to make a case for either side in this game given how well both teams are playing right now, and while many never want to jump in front of a lengthy winning streak, that's precisely what I'm doing here with the spread being what it is. South Alabama's got that defense potentially working in their favor, as the method to beat Southern Miss is through holding them somewhere in the 60s, and being at home is also on the Jaguars' side, as they are 6-4 ATS at home on the season, including 2-1 ATS as a home underdog. The Jaguars showed in that first meeting before they really peaked that they've got an understanding in how to slow this Southern Miss attack down. Combine that with current form for both sides being relatively equal with how well they are both playing, and I'll take the points with the home side, who've got much more to prove than this Southern Miss team, who knows they'll likely lock up the regular season title. Our team pick is South Alabama plus 1 point. That first meeting saw these two teams each shoot 19% from distance and no better than 44% from the floor for either of them, and yet it still surpassed the closing total of 137 by 11 total points. 32 combined points from the charity stripe made up for all of that. Ken Palm's has both teams ranked in the top third of the country, 85th and 116th respectively, and despite Southern Miss being on a 3-0-1 OU run and South Alabama on a 4-1-1 OU run, this should still be a game where both sides want to be the only side to even threaten 70+ points. South Alabama hasn't allowed more than 66 points in 7 straight games, and if it weren't for an 85-81 loss to Coastal Carolina, the Jaguars would be looking at a run of 8 straight games where they haven't allowed more than 68 points against in regulation. The last team to crack 70 was this Southern Miss squad. Defense is what dominates the game here in my view, as these two teams don't get bailed out by all the trips to the free throw line to sail over the total like they did in the first game. Our total pick is under 140.5 points. Troy vs Arkansas State. Troy is playing well. The Trojans are on a 3-game winning streak, and Troy is also 4-1 in their last 5 games at home. The Trojans have been inconsistent offensively at times this season, but Troy's defense has been strong. The Trojans are 5-7 on the road, but Arkansas State has struggled at home all year. The Red Wolves are shooting just 42.6% from the field this year. The Trojans should be able to control this game with their defense. Our team pick is Troy. Troy has been a strong defensive team all year. The Trojans are holding opponents to just 41.9% shooting from the field. Arkansas State is also shooting just 42.6% from the field this season. Troy has held their last 3 opponents to 65 points or less, all games that were wins for the Trojans, and Troy has also played at a moderate pace all year. The Trojans are 170th out of 363 team in adjust tempo. This should not be a higher pace game since the home team usually dictates tempo. Our total pick is under. Santa Clara vs BYU. Okay, so no big surprise that BYU lost to a ranked Gonzaga team in their last game. However, in the game before they lost to a Pepperdine team that came into the game with 1 WCC win and is the basement of the conference. On the season they have given up an average of less than 70 ppg, but they have given up 92 points and 88 points, respectively, in their last 2 games. On the other side of the coin, Santa Clara played solid D in their last game, and in their 3-game win streak they have given up an average of 71.3 ppg. While the Broncos have not covered in the last 2 games, both were at home, and they are 3-2 on the road in conference play, covering in all 3 wins. That will happen in this game, as they may not win. I think they will, but they will cover the spread. When these teams met several games back at Santa Clara, the total went over, and that is the pick I am leaning towards in this game. Not hard to see why, with BYU struggling on the defensive end of the floor in the last 2 games, giving up 92 points and 88 points respectively. Both of those games were on the road, and while they will play better defense back at home, they will still give up a solid point total against a Santa Clara team that put up 83 points on them in their earlier loss to them. BYU has been scoring in the last 2 games, and they will also put up a decent total, and like the first meeting it will be a higher scoring affair, which is why the over is the pick.